What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome back to another edition of the Truck Parking Clubhouse. I'm your host, Lombard, aka Lombard Trucking, or Michael Lombard, whatever you'd like to call me. But I hope you guys had a great long weekend, great 4th of July out there. Always a great weekend to, wherever you're at, whether you're over the road or at home. It's a great time to kind of reflect, come together, celebrate, and have some gratitude for, a lot of the great things, great opportunities that we have in this country, and some of them we're gonna cover on this show because I think there's the new. I just dropped taillights, came out a half hour ago, and there's some new stuff that's been going on that can hopefully seems to be trending in the right direction when it comes to parking, and then some stuff that some motor carriers are able to hopefully take advantage of with a new spending bill. But so just a little announcement. So next week we'll be off next Monday. We're going to go next Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. So again, if you're setting your calendars for the Clubhouse, again, feel free to join us. So next Monday evening, we'll be off. We're going to reschedule for Wednesday afternoon, but should be on for every Monday after that. But without any further delay, I want to bring one of our guests, one of our partners and affiliates onto the program. The CEO of Haul Right LLC, Mr. JT himself. Brother, good to have you.
Doing, guys? Nice to meet you guys. It's my first time on a podcast. So we're here to talk about a little bit of truck parking and know about the industry, how trucking is going, and introduce myself in the trucking business. We're pretty new, but we coming in like a raging bull.
No, that's what it sounds like. We talked at the Texas Trucking Show, and you, in the conversation we had, I mean, you've got things underwritten, you've got like a game plan, you've got a business plan, and we definitely want to hear about it because this is a tough industry. It's I know this from owning my own truck, and we're friends with several fleet owners, and I mean at Truck Parking Club, a lot of our trucker members are owner operators. They're carriers with multiple trucks, and there's a lot of challenges that go into the business, especially I mean just from not just the truck, the trailer, and the equipment, but we're talking about the other ancillary things, plates, IRP, UCR. All the insurance, there's a whole lot that goes into play, and then also finding out where you're actually gonna generate revenue, because unlike a store where you could sell t-shirts and shorts and then maybe a sweater, with when it comes to a trucking company, you can haul freight. It's very hard to you can't do much. There's only one thing you kind of offer, so and you got to be really good at it. You got to have the right equipment for it. So excited to hear kind of your story into it. Tell us the story. How did you get into the trucking business?
Yeah, so to be honest, I started off doing box trucks. So I was working a 9 to 5, and I was getting paid really, really good. But it just came to a point in my life. I was like, I got to do something different. One day, me and my friend, we just got up. Was like, you know what? Let's try trucking. Let's look into it, and we kind of started digging. He went for the semis at first. I went for box trucks, and then I started off. I purchased my first box of cash, and at that time, it was a great idea, but it's a lot of expense. Doing box trucks is good money into it, but when it comes down to like expense and stuff, I would recommend for you to buy it brand new, not to buy it cash if you don't have a lot of capital. So that's how we started off. I started off, buying my first box truck. And within the first 3 months, I had to spend at least like, I'm gonna say between 5 to 12,000, and that took a really deep hit on us. And but we kept pushing. I ended up driving. I quit my job, started driving for myself, and within like 6 months, I bought a second box truck. When I bought my second box truck, the first box truck went down. I had spent $28,000 in the engine, so that took a toll on us. So I had to park that truck, and I started driving. I started driving my wife. So we went team driving for like, I would say about 4 months. And so we actually made that capital up. And so we paid for the engine. Then as soon as we paid for the engine, I sold a box truck. Then I kept one box truck I bought cash. And then I went to the lease to own program. And to be honest, I felt like that was one of the worst mistakes I ever made, because I put down $27,000 for a box truck. And at first it was really good because the market was good. Then the market took a turn, and then the expense was kind of crazy. It was like going to negative. So I had to let that truck go and kept driving the truck we paid for cash to keep up capital. Then after a while, I cut my finger off, working. I used to work on the trucks myself. So after I cut my finger off, I kind of sold that truck and took a year break. And then, I kind of strategized a little bit more into the game. Like, okay, what I did wrong and what could I do differently? Then, I took a year off. We used to live in Orlando, Florida. Then we ended up moving to Texas. When we came over here, me and my wife, we sat down for a while, and the money we had saved up was like, you know what, let's look into the semi game, but let's like take a while to like strategize the game and strategize the industry. What can we do different and what did we do wrong? So we looked into leasing like brand new trucks, and that's what we went into. We started leasing brand new equipments. And I think leasing brand new equipments, that was one of the best choices we ever made, because now we don't have any repairs, we don't have any overhead expense that much.
So did you end up, so when you you're leasing those trucks from like a dealership?
Yeah, from Freightliner.
Okay, so leasing them from Freightliner. I think this is like, when it comes to leasing trucks, this is like that third option that I don't think that gets talked about enough, because I know some people who did this through dealerships as well. And I think people get caught up in, because I had financed my truck and I've broken even on it, like that loan's paid off. But people think that you need to kind of either finance it outright, or
Right.
buy it outright, or they need to kind of go, as you said, into these like lease
So
to own.
right, it just depends. So I would say it's good to lease if you have a capital and you're trying to grow, because it's kind of difficult to grow when you're trying to purchase, because it's so expensive purchasing one truck. Then you have to put down like $20,000 to $40,000 just to get $180,000 truck. But with that $200,000, you can easily get 4 to 5 trucks, in one go. And that's what we end up doing. So we like within like, because we just started the semi business, within 3 months we have 4 trucks. So, and we're looking to get 6 more in August. So to grow, I would say it's a better direction to take. But if you trying to like, if you a trucker and this, like, you're going to drive the truck, I would recommend you to buy. It's a little bit easier to go that route. But for us, because we're trying to get a fleet and we're trying to scale faster, it's easier for us to just lease the truck and to cover all the overhead expense, like repairs and stuff. Like, we're not responsible for nothing. Only thing we do is make the payment and just cover the insurance.
Okay, so almost like have it set up, because we just went through the process of leasing a car with at a Mazda dealership,
Right.
and so you're getting a lot of your maintenance. So just with your lease payment, you're getting regular oil changes, you're getting routine maintenance done at the dealership, and you're not having to come out of pocket because you're leasing it
Correct. Yes. So all that stuff is covered. Only thing we pay for is tires.
for rubber. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And so how long is the lease?
Yeah. So for each truck is 5 years.
Okay, so it's a 5-year lease, and then I'm assuming at the end of that 5 years, there's like a buyout option.
Yeah. Buyout option, or we just rotation.
Yeah, or you can go back to turn it in and then lease a newer
Brand new
model.
one. Correct. Yes.
No, that's so it actually kind of puts you in a position to, especially when it comes to retaining drivers. And I think that that's another thing, because you're hiring drivers, right?
Yes. Yes. I'm hiring a few drivers within the upcoming weeks. Yes. I'm looking for at least 6 more new drivers. And my
And
operation is really based off of flatbed. At the moment, I'm only doing strictly flatbed general freight.
so strictly flatbed freight. And where are you operating right now?
So we operate out of Houston, Texas. So we do a lot of Texas runs. We go to Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia, Oklahoma, and back. So we try to stay in that region.
Okay, good. So yeah, you're staying down south. So for any drivers who are watching this live, if you're hiring drivers, what's give us the rundown. What's the workload? How many weeks out? How much home time are they getting? What's the ballpark you got for pay versus experience? Like, yeah, feel free to hype it up, man. If you're looking, there could be there's always, if it's one thing about drivers, is they are Drivers will always look for the next best job.
No, definitely. So right now I'm coming out with a program. So for all the new drivers that's watching that don't have that much experience. So I have a few drivers that's really experienced right now. So I'm coming out with a program. So if you don't have any experience, you at least have to have 2 years of any experience with any freight. But I'm going to be doing a training program so the drivers could run with my drivers for 2 to 3 weeks. And the minimum pay for that is $700 a week. Then after the $700, I pay 72 cents per mile for experienced drivers. But for the drivers that don't have any experience, I'm going to start them off at 64 cents per mile until they gain at least 6 months experience.
Okay, I got you. And that's good money for doing flatbed. And
Yeah.
and how much tarping are they doing? Is there, they get tarp pay? Is there any?
Yes, they do get tarp pay. So I'll pay $50 for tarp pay.
Awesome.
Yes.
No, that's good stuff. And then, so how many weeks out are they looking for? Is it a regional?
So
Yeah, more regional.
yeah, so doing regional. So I'm looking for my drivers to stay at least 3 weeks, 4 days off. You stay at 4 weeks to get 7 days off.
That's actually not bad for straight OTR. I mean, you do a month, you get a week off. I mean, that's, there's guys out in the oil field who are doing that similar type of work. And if somebody lives in the Houston area, are they able to, do they run back through Houston more often, you think?
Yeah. Yeah, so I have guys that's doing that right now. So I have guys, so they'll pick up in Louisiana and drop off in Dallas. So they come through Houston, stay in that, come through Houston, then stay overnight, then leave early in the morning to drop off in Dallas and do the same thing, like back and forth. So you
Yeah.
get the opportunity just to be home every day.
Yeah, so
Not all the time, but you do get the opportunity.
Awesome. And so you said you have 3 trucks right now.
No, 4.
Four trucks right now, and you're looking at getting 6 by the end of the year.
No, by between August and September.
Oh, okay. So not a year. So, but within the next 3 months.
Yeah.
No, this is
I'm
awesome,
gonna be,
man.
yes, I'm going to be looking for 6 more drivers, and they're going to be on strictly flatbeds. And I do need a fleet manager, or an assistant that have some sort of knowledge about being a fleet manager and the responsibilities.
Awesome. So looking for a fleet manager, and I'm assuming you'd want that fleet manager to be kind of local to Houston.
Correct. Yes. So they have to live within Houston.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that would be like an in-office job where they're kind of working 7 to 5, so to speak.
Yes, correct.
Perfect. No, so that's good. You're hiring, you're growing. I'd have to ask you out there. So what's it been, when you were doing box trucks, you said the market kind of, did what it was doing. A lot of people who listen in, a lot of people follow us, and we've been following kind of, somewhat of a recession the freight's been in. But how's freight been on your end in the flatbed market? Like, talking to customers, are you you primarily using load boards? You got some direct, some direct shippers you've been working with?
Okay, so yes, I am losing load boards right now. So I have Truck Stop, DAT, Ryan Transport. So I probably have, I'm gonna say 5 different load boards I'm working with. So it's been pretty consistent, to be honest. But I am working on dedicated routes for the flatbeds at the moment. So I've been talking to shippers. So I'm working on contracts. I have a few contracts coming up in October, but I'm working on things that should be coming up sooner than that.
No, that's good. I'm assuming that's taking up a lot of your day to day.
Oh, sometimes 24 hours. I sleep for 2 hours, then that's it. Back to it. Yeah.
Yeah, back to it. But overall, you said before you got into trucking, you were making decent coin at a kind of a 9 to 5, and so you
Yeah.
prefer this versus that.
100%. So how to say it? I'm a person that I don't like to I can't settle. I don't get too comfortable. So I was making like 30 something dollars an hour. I'm not gonna say it wasn't enough, but I know my potential. I'm that type of person I like to be active. I like to do my own thing. I like to take risk. You know, I like to keep pushing. I can't settle for less.
Yeah, if you've got it in you, I mean, that's just a good piece of, motivation to put to anybody out there. I'm an endurance guy, an endurance athlete, and there's a lot of people who, or just people in general, anytime they go to like run a mile, like say you want to go run a mile as fast as you can, whenever you get done running that mile, it's like 2-3 minutes later, you always end up saying, man, I could, like, in that last stretch, I could have done more. And I feel
Right.
like that there's people in their day-to-day lives who are confident in what they do, they work hard, but when you have that extra gas in the tank where you're like, I'm working this hard and I feel like I can put it to the test. I mean, that's an itch you just got to scratch.
Well, definitely, definitely. That's how I am. Like I tell my wife, is like she be like, "Babe, relax, calm down. Take a break." I'm like, "Yeah, I can take a break now, but I want to take a break later and get it done now." I'm that type of person. It's like I like to utilize my time. Especially in this time in this trucking industry. Like I want to push. Like a lot of people are stopping, but I feel like this is the time to push. Because it's like it's survival world. So you have to try to survive as much as possible until the market get back great. Because if you give up now, within the next few months, everything get back how it's supposed to. You'd be like, I should have did, but you might as well just try to stick it out and just keep pushing.
No, exactly. Well said. So speaking of, like, we mentioned some of the problems. Freight's hit a tough part of the market. You're kind of managing the drivers right now. What's you know what has been have you gotten any complaints from your drivers about truck parking? And when was the first time you had heard about Truck Parking Club?
To be honest, okay, it was this. I say about 2 months ago. So I was in West Texas. This when I first went to West Texas. I was in the oil field for about went there over February, so I was over there for about 3 months. And when I first got there, so I was parking the trucks on the side of the road, but because I didn't know, so I had like 6 trucks at the time. I had my 4 trucks and 2 rentals at the moment for the operation. So we was parking on the side of the road. The police pulled up and he wrote me a ticket. He was going to give me a ticket for 6 trucks, but he was like, I could see you. He checked my DOT. He was like, I see that you're new. So he gave me a ticket for one. So I was like, you know what? I gotta go find some parking. So, I started doing some research and I seen truck parking. I was like, you know what, let me try them out. Then I actually was out and I got parking for all 6 trucks over there. And it was in Midland, so close to the Midland area. So, it was a great experience, to be honest. I love the area that was parking at. Was surveillance. When the guy that we actually reserve off from truck parking, he was like super cool. He took care of us. So yeah, it was a great experience.
No, that's awesome. Did you happen to park, was the gentleman you were talking to, was his name Ramon?
It might have been. I know it was like, I think a 915 number, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure.
I just know that we have some guys. We have properties out in the Midland, West Texas area, who do great work, and they manage great properties. And I know, one gentleman, his name is Ramon. He comes with a lot of compliments. So I wasn't sure if maybe he was the guy you've been dealing with. But so you had an issue with 6 trucks, and so were you on like the shoulder of, like an on off ramp, or were you just like on the side of like a
Um,
FM road?
so I had a house. So because for the operation, I had like 8 drivers in total for 6 trucks. So I had a house, so I was park the trucks closest to the house, but you're not supposed to do that. But I didn't know at the time because it was like a big open space. So I just had the drivers park the trucks there like every night after they finished their shift. But one day I was just driving past and I seen the police pulling up, and I was like, "Oh, I think they go for the trucks." And then I just pulled up and I stopped them, and we had a conversation. He was pretty cool about it. He was just like, "You can't park here." Then then that's why we ended up finding truck parking.
No, that's awesome. And I mean, it's hard to have 6 trucks take up spots at a truck stop, and I'm sure out there a lot of
Yeah,
those truck
nice.
stops are full.
Definitely. Yeah, I couldn't find parking at truck stops. It was very limited. And I tried before when I first got there. It didn't work. So that's when I end up just parking the trucks closest towards the house.
No, that's awesome, man. I mean, that's exactly what kind of the mission is, and like the reason why we continue to do what they do is, I mean, it's not only for the company driver who needs it when they're in a tough spot running out of hours, but for the type of person, for the small business owner who's who's looking for, I mean, a better way to operate. I mean, that's the thing. Like,
Definitely.
it's operational efficiency right there is
Yeah.
what's gonna.
Right. I think it's really good for fleet owners. I think if you utilize it properly, it's very convenient. Like especially like if you have a fleet and then if you could work out a price to, for me it was a great experience, to be honest. It was very reasonable because that's the compared to the price I paid for that yard compared to other yards, it was like crazy cheap. Because I was looking at $1,200 a month compared to $600 a month. I was like, that's really good. Then I come down to Houston. I see you guys have a lot of yards in Houston at reasonable price, plus the discount you guys give out. So, it's very convenient.
No, that's awesome, man. Good to hear. And so, speaking of discounts, I dropped it in the newsletter this week, and not going to put you on the spot, but for anybody listening, if you're not subscribed to uh, our weekly newsletters, we've got some that come out all throughout the week, but mine specifically comes out every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Time, which is pretty. This newsletter ebbs and flows. I like to put in content. I like to put in submissions. So by the way, so JT, if you have any opinion pieces you want to write about the trucking industry, or anybody listening, if you have an opinion on anything trucking related and you'd like it to go out to over 80,000 subscribers, please reach out. Just a short opinion piece. It could be your opinion about driver pay, parking, brokers, broker relationships, the story of your company, whatever. I'm always looking for as much driver input into this newsletter as I can. The newsletter itself is driver focused. And, this week I covered, a couple of weeks ago, I had covered this parking pilot in New York City. And it looks like, that some actions being, the New York City council on the 3rd did vote to kind of push for some more overnight parking within the city because the pilot didn't really do anything well. So it's I'd call it more than a drop in the bucket, but the most important part of this newsletter, something that looks like you can actually put some money back into a driver's pocket. So I want to kind of dive in, get your takeaway real quick. And so, I mean, what happened, and this isn't meant to be a conversation, that's whether you support or whether you're for or against the current admin or for this bill. I mean, we got to play the ball where it lies. And this bill's going through as it is, and they had passed it. I mean, what it's looking to do is it can boost investment, cut some red tape, and kind of make it easier for drivers to get some training. But one of the things is it extends and enhances the qualified business income deduction, which if you're a small fleet owner, owner operator, I feel like this kind of helps you out and levels the playing field between small fleets and large carriers. Not
Right.
sure. What's your kind of takeaway from that?
I mean, I think it was a good thing because it's going to help out more for the small fleet, because it's the small fleet that's really hurting, because most of the big fleets right now, they already have like sustainability with parking and they have their yards and stuff. Like a small fleet like me, I don't have a yard yet. So I think it's a really good thing, because it's going to be more convenient for, somebody like that, for like me that's growing. It's gonna, it's definitely going to help out in the future. Definitely.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, another thing, I mean, it looks like, especially as you're getting trucks, this one's
Right.
kind of huge. There's 100% bonus depreciation, which will allow full immediate write-offs for qualified assets like trucks and equipment. And this applies to gear bought after January 19th, 2025 and are put in service before 2030. I mean, this can help. This is going to help with you getting those 6 new trucks and
Right.
possibly more.
Correct.
So, so thumbs up on that one.
Yes.
Awesome. Good to see. Oh, we had some comments coming in. I wanted to see, we had some people coming on here, dropping in. I wanted to, let's see, field some stuff. Oh yeah, actually, before we kind of dive into the next thing, I'm curious, we've had this flooding going on in the central Texas. Have you looked at has any FEMA loads come across your table? Is that something you've been looking into for these recent floods? I feel like flatbed work is going to be something that's going to be needed.
Yes, yes. So I mean, I haven't dig too deep as yet, but yes, I was speaking to someone about it. So yeah, starting tomorrow, between tomorrow and by the end of the week, we're gonna start, digging more.
No, awesome. Yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, the floods out here in Central Texas, I can tell you, definitely. I mean, everything by me is fine. A lot of it's basically been an hour away. Some
Right.
of it a little bit closer. It depends on where you are, up by Lake Travis, so to speak. But some tough parts of hill country really got, it came too fast and too quick. I mean, the really true definition of flash flood is what
No,
happened. Like,
definitely.
you can't really plan, it's hard to get warnings out for that stuff. But yeah, it's
Yeah. So
good stuff.
I mean, I was really touched by it because I have 3 kids of my own. So when my wife, I didn't even know about it. My wife told me about it today. Because I don't really be on the news that much. But yeah, my wife told me about it today. I was like, that's crazy. It happened within less than like 10 minutes. The flood came in. I'm like, man, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, stuff, and I know, yeah, it's gonna be trucks who are gonna be doing a lot of rebuilding out there. And yeah, we had Joe McMillan. Thanks for watching. He said driver service how I started. He said flatbed is the hardest work. Would you agree? You think flatbed's the hardest work?
I'm not gonna deny it because it is pretty it's a lot of work too. It's a lot of labor. So for me, that's why I pay tarp pay because my drivers, they do get out there, they do have to tarp, they do have to so and what I do is I go out there now and then with my drivers and I go help. That's the to make sure they feel comfortable. And yeah, it's a work to it. Yeah, I'm not going to deny it, but it's something you have to love doing it. If you're only doing it for the money, eventually you're going to get tired of it. But you just have to make it a part of your lifestyle.
Absolutely, yeah. Lifestyle is the most important thing, and I'd say now a question I always like to ask people is, I mean, you seem to be into Haul Right for the long haul. Like this is what you're kind of committing this for a while. One of the parts of this big beautiful bill is actually an estate tax relief, which so family owned carriers would benefit from this benefit from a permanent increase in the estate tax exemption, which means that Haul Right could be something that you just mentioned you have 3 kids. Is that kind of the future? Are you looking to pass this down?
100%. Yes. So I'm looking for something for the long term. I'm doing it not for me right now. I'm doing it for the kids so they can have something to, generational. So I'm looking for long term. My goal is to 200 trucks. So that's the goal. Within the next 2 years, 2.5 years, I'm looking to go to 200 trucks. And I know it's possible. As long as we keep executing and we follow the script. Yes, I know it's possible. So yes,
No,
definitely.
I think it's definitely possible, and I think a great winning strategy is. I think what you're doing with leasing trucks is a pretty good idea because there's a lot of drivers out there who definitely want old iron. We were just at the Texas Trucking Show, and who
Right.
doesn't love who doesn't love chrome? Who doesn't love like
Because I want
everybody?
now I want one. I want one. I want to go get one.
Exactly. They get tempted. It's just like seeing a Lamborghini. Like, of
Right,
course,
right. No,
who who
definitely.
who wouldn't want one? But when it comes to you think about drivers in the driving market, and new drivers entering the market and the ones you're looking to hire and keep, like the goal is you want to keep your drivers, and at least the job itself is as hard as it is, being over the road. And I'd say the more comfort, the better. And if you're in newer equipment, I know newer equipment comes with its issues with maintenance, def, after treatment, sensors. Like that's all
Both.
that's all true, and I would never argue against that. It all depends on what you're trying to do. But if you want to be a successful owner operator and have one truck, and it's a pre 2007, and you're okay with like living that lifestyle, then that works. But if you're saying 200 trucks, that is 200 drivers that you're going to need to make sure have some smiles on their face. And new equipment, I still think is going to be the way to keep them. I mean, it's why you look at the general workforce. If they're working in an office building, wherever they're working, they want it to be, they want all the bells and whistles and the food and all this other stuff. And it's kind of the same thing we're seeing with trucking. They want the trucks to be a little bit higher speed.
No, definitely, definitely. They want more reliability, because the driver don't 5 hours all the time waiting for a tow truck to pull up, waiting to replace a tire, waiting for somebody to come replace a starter. I mean, it's understandable. Sometimes you have to go through that, but nowadays, especially the new generation of drivers, they just want to drive. They just want to jump in the truck and drive, do their pre-trip, and just want to ride comfortable, which is understandable. So that's why I'm looking more towards, the leasing than to purchase at the moment. Well, I am going to start purchasing, but for right now, just the scale, yeah, leasing new equipments.
No, that's awesome. Last question I got for you. If you can give kind of, and it could be more than one thing, but if you can kind of give like one solid piece of advice to kind of anybody who's thinking about getting their own truck, or anybody who's thinking about getting in the industry in general, like if you were, I'd say, well, just from your perspective, like if they wanted to start a business, if somebody's looking at becoming an owner operator, what would be like your best advice you can give them?
To be honest, I would say do it. It's a lot of people out here that they're just thinking about it. They don't want to do it. They see every negative review. They see every bad thing about it. But you just gotta look at the positive side also. The industry was bad, but now it's getting back good. It's all about execution. I say if you're thinking about it, go ahead, do it. And if you're a driver, make sure you always drive your truck first. Do not buy a truck and try to hire somebody. Try to make as much profit before you try to hire somebody, because when you hire somebody, you kind of, if you're not going to do a fleet, if you're going to buy one truck, drive it yourself, because if that one truck break down, at least you don't have to pay a driver. At least make as much money as possible, so at least you cover repairs. But if you hire somebody, now you have to worry about paying a driver and cut into your profit. So my recommendation, if you're going to start and you're a driver, always drive your truck first. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. There's no reason to. Yeah, I think there's a lot. I saw TikTok videos recently of a guy who was, people who think that they can buy a truck and hire a driver, and then all of a sudden money is going to be made. But it's like,
it don't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. I don't know what fairy tale world. The only way it will work, unless as I say, if you're gonna do multiple trucks at the same time, because now you have 5 trucks generating $5,000 a month. So it is different from one truck generating. You have one truck with one driver, you're only making 4 to 5. So if you have 5, now it's 5 times the profit. So now it's a little bit different. But if you're starting out small, I say always drive. Always. That's my recommendation. Always jump in the truck first.
absolutely. Dude, I appreciate you jumping on the Clubhouse with me. It won't be the last time. I think as you start to add trucks, we'd love to bring you back on to talk about it. But where can, for anybody who's listening, where can the people find you? I know, appreciate you jumping in. We had Pop Tart Gone Truckin' who's jumping in here. She was asking if you wanted these government loads. So she has an awesome YouTube channel herself. So where can the people find you? What social platforms are you on? Do you got a website?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at _Haul Right, and haulright.com, and my Facebook is going to be Haul Right. So that'll be all my Instagram accounts and my website.
Awesome. So just Haul Right, and that's HaulRight. So not RITE.
Yes.
So remember, like
No.
all right, but Haul Right. And I think that
Yes.
that's a great way to describe how the future of the trucking industry can be. I think everything's going to be
Definitely.
Haul Right.
Yeah, it's more going to be, I chose Haul Right because I'm looking into corporate. Not too much corporate. It's going to be owner operator corporate, but I'm looking to grow. I think there's growth in Haul Right. So, that's what I kind of went to with that name. Is I see a lot of potential.
Yeah, no, that's
Like you
good.
got Prime, you got Haul Right.
Hey, it's actually a good point. Yeah, like name your company like after the mindset.
Yes.
Like, yeah, go into it. So that way every day you've got that mindset, man. That's great. And for anybody listening, also JT and Haul Right LLC, they are partnered with us because just like what they're doing in this industry, as Haul Right continues to grow, they're looking to become a great carrier within this industry, provide a great service, grow and benefit the Houston community in the Houston area as well as the entire country. JT wants to help lead the industry better than he found it, which is why we work with him. And so if you're out there and you're needing some parking, feel free. If you haven't subscribed to the newsletter, I know we had him in last week's newsletter. There's great. You can see a gentleman tarping his load out there. They're tarping it right, but he's got if you need some parking tonight or tomorrow this week, for whether it's your first booking or you haven't used it yet, you can use the promo code Haul Right, all lowercase, Haul Right 20 for $20 off your next booking. But JT, appreciate you having you on, man. We'll talk soon.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, guys, that'll do it for the Clubhouse. We'll be back next Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Mark your calendars. But with that, guys, take care and let's have a great week.